In the spirit of respect, authenticity, and reconciliation, the town of Slave Lake honors and acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional lands of Sawridge First Nation within Treaty 8 territory, home to Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit peoples who have occupied these lands since time immemorial. Councillor Gramlich?
Motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question. Those in favor? Councillor Hudson, Councillor Wells. Sorry, I just had to go. It takes me a minute to look. Thank you. And that is carried. Okay. And we're going to move forward to our delegations. Is there, we'll go with the Peace Library System. I don't believe Catherine's here. I don't see.
It's online.
I'm zooming it.
Oh, Zoom. There we go. We'll start with Catherine. All right. You have 10 minutes and you're joining us via Zoom, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, our honorable and beloved Mayor Ward, respected members of council and the administration. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you guys tonight and allowing me to join virtually from Airdrie, Alberta. I hope that, is it okay that you won't mind that I prepared my thoughts in writing tonight, just so that I can make sure that I don't forget anything and that I speak from my heart, and I don't want to miss, because this is very personal to us. My name is Catherine Samiano, but most people know me by Kay. My husband and I own the property at 917 13th Ave in Slave Lake. Before I explain why I'm here today, I would like to share a little bit about our family's connection to Slave Lake, because this community and this particular home have been an important part of our lives for many years. Our story with Slave Lake began in 2009, when my husband and I were relatively new to Canada from the Philippines, and still trying to establish ourselves professionally and build a life for our young family. I worked as an occupational therapist at the Slave Lake Hospital, while my husband worked as a cable technician with Slave Lake Cable. Like many newcomers, we came to Canada with education, experience, hopes, and a willingness to work hard. But you still need opportunities. You need people willing to open a door and give you a chance. Slave Lake gave us that to us. We were able to gain experience, develop professionally, build relationships, and begin establishing our careers in Canada. We later moved to Camrose just a couple of months before the 2011 wildfire. Like everyone with connections to Slave Lake, that was an incredibly difficult time. We had friends who were affected, and the house we had previously lived in was also lost. Afterwards, my husband felt strongly that he wanted to return and be part of the community's rebuilding. He returned to his work with Slave Lake Cable, and eventually I was given the opportunity to return when I accepted a position as an occupational therapist with Highbury School Division, serving children and families throughout the region. We remained in the area until our careers eventually brought us south in 2017. Altogether, Slave Lake was part of our family's life for approximately 9 years. Those were important years for us. They were the years when we were finding our footing in Canada, developing our careers, raising our young children, making friendships, and building a life. During those years, we also bought our first home, and we're proud that was our first achievement, being an immigrant to Canada, 917 13th Ave, Southeast. It wasn't an investment property when we bought it. It was simply our home. Our children grew up there. We celebrated birthdays, Christmases, family dinners, and all the ordinary moments of raising a young family. Those are the moments that stay with you. When our careers eventually brought us out, we couldn't quite let the house go. We kept it and eventually rented it to another family, to a family friend. So while it is technically a rental property today, for us it will always be our first home and an important part of our family's beginnings in Canada. Then on the morning of July 2nd, 2026, I received a text message telling me that our house was on fire. Our immediate concern was not the house, it was our tenants. Thankfully, they made it out alive. As we learned more about what happened, we realized just how close the situation had been. Our tenants had only a limited window to get out. The fire had already spread extensively through the home, including the ceiling and roof structure. A few more minutes and we could have been dealing with consequences far more devastating than the loss of the house. That realization puts everything else into perspective. Whatever was damaged that morning can eventually be rebuilt or replaced. Lives cannot. Before speaking about our financial situation or asking council for anything, I just want to express how incredibly grateful we are that our tenants made it out safely. I also want to sincerely acknowledge Slave Lake Fire Rescue. Firefighters did an amazing job. Their response was incredibly fast and professional, and we are deeply grateful for what they did that morning. When you realize how differently that morning could have ended, property becomes secondary. We lost the home as we knew it, but we did not lose a life. For that, we are profoundly thankful. Since then, we have been trying to navigate everything that comes after. The fire department has cleared portions of the home so our tenants can retrieve some of their belongings, although the other areas remain unsafe. The tenants are continuing to work on their own insurance company regarding the removal of their remaining contents. Our insurance adjuster inspected the property, submitted the report, and insurance claim has now been approved. We are grateful that this part of the process has moved forward. However, approval of the claim does not mean the house is immediately ready to rebuild. As of today, no rebuilding work has begun. The home remains uninhabitable. The roof is still open and exposed to the elements. The basement sustained significant water damage during the firefighting efforts. The interior ceilings were extensively damaged, and there is significant fire and smoke damage throughout the home, including areas that did not directly burn. Some portions of the house remain unsafe. There are still many steps ahead before reconstruction can begin, and even with insurance approval, we know rebuilding will take time. Realistically, we're preparing ourselves for a process that could take many months before the property can safely be occupied again. During that time, there is no functioning home on the property. It cannot be occupied or rented while the financial responsibilities of owning the property continue. And that brings me to my request today. I understand the importance of municipal property taxes and the services they support. In fact, what happened on July 2nd gave our family an even greater appreciation for those services and the people behind them. I also understand that council has policies to follow and responsibility to make decisions that are fair to all property owners. I completely respect that. At the same time, our property currently has no habitable home. It cannot be rented or generate rental income, and we don't know exactly how long it will remain in this condition while the rebuilding process moves forward. So I'm respectfully asking council to consider temporarily pausing our municipal property taxes while the home remains uninhabitable. If a complete pause is not something council is able to provide, we would be sincerely grateful if the council could consider whatever other relief may be available, whether that is a deferral, a reduction, or another option with council's authority. We are not asking to permanently remove our responsibilities as property owners. We are simply asking whether there can be some temporary consideration for the extraordinary circumstances we are facing while there is no functioning home in the property. We absolutely intend to rebuild. We want to see this house become a home again and eventually welcome another family to its doors. I also recognize that council needs to consider requests like ours carefully and fairly, and I respect whatever decisions you ultimately make. It is humbling to come before council and ask for assistance, but I felt it was important to speak to you personally because this property isn't simply an address on our tax notice. It is our first home. It represents an important chapter of our family's life. The years when we were newcomers finding our place in Canada, establishing our careers and raising our young children. Slave Lake gave our family opportunities during those formative years, and we have carried deep appreciation for this community with us even after moving south. Today, we are simply hoping for some considerations while we work through an unexpected and difficult situation. Thank you, Honorable Mayor Ward, respected members of council and administration for allowing me to share our circumstances with you and for considering our request. Thank you again to the Slave Lake Fire Rescue for the incredible work they did that morning. And above everything else, we're grateful for that our tenants are alive and safe. The rest can be rebuilt. We look forward to the day that 917 13th Ave Southeast can simply be a home again. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I will open up the floor to council for if they have any questions. And just a note on procedure, there is a section for business arising after delegations, so that request will come through on the next section after our Peace Library System presentation, just so you know. So we'll discuss that part there. Does council have any questions at this time? Councillor Bowes?
Hi there. Quick question. So what amount of property taxes do you have owing that you would like deferred until June of 2027?
To be honest, I have no idea. Right now it's sitting at 380 something.
So you pay taxes monthly?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything?
Oh, I'm done.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions from council? Councillor Hughes?
Yes, sorry, just, I guess, a follow-up to that. I'm just maybe slightly confused. So the payment date for residents for tax is July 1st typically, right? So had you have paid your 2026 before the fire happened on July 2nd?
As far as I know, I'm on time.
Because you have monthly-
I'm student.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry. So because you have monthly payments, you had paid for 2026, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And
And
it comes out with our mortgage,
it goes with your mortgage. Yes, okay, got it. Okay, that's really good to note then. So the request here could be for deferral of this payment until, like you would still be willing to just pay one lump sum in full for the next tax period, which would be by July 1st, 2027, because then you're really only pausing monthly payments, right? That's where I'm just wondering exactly what you're hoping for.
Yes, and so I was hoping that we can defer it until we can get our footing until the rebuild.
Okay.
And then maybe we can do a lump sum or a kind of a staggered payment kind of thing, if it's possible.
Okay, but you don't necessarily have a date for your rebuild, right? Do you,
No, I have no idea.
nothing on that yet? Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify.
Thank you.
Okay, and as I see there, Councillor Choba.
My question is more for admin. Do we currently have a policy for catastrophic loss caused by like fire or any other disaster that would be like an individual exception or anything close to that?
So we don't have a specific policy for loss. The council does, under the MGA, council has a right to, for every property to make any recommendation for taxes, whether it's eliminating or deferring. So there's not a distinct policy for individual disaster or fire, flood, any of that.
Okay. As I see nothing further, I would entertain a motion to accept that as information. Councillor Choba.
I'd like to move to accept that as information.
Okay, accept the proposed information. Any further discussion? Call to question, those in favor. And that is carried. Thank you. We'll move on to the discussion part in the next section. And then next up, we have the delegation from the Peace Library System. If you want to come and take the center table, and if I can get that mic turned on, that'd be great. Yep, hold on one second. There we go.
Just making sure.
Yes, it will. Just wait for your presentation to come up, but if you want to introduce yourselves, and
Okay,
great.
I will go ahead. Good evening, hello. My name is Louisa Robison. I am the CEO for Peace Library System in Grande Prairie. Peace Library System is the system that supports libraries in the Peace region. We have 46 member libraries and 37 municipalities, and also one Métis settlement, and 36 school libraries that we support as well. We are headquartered in Grande Prairie. with a staff of 20 specializing in library work, computer systems, logistics. The town of Slave Lake has a contracted agreement with PLS to support the library services for the town and the county. And I just want to show you how we use that money that you pay us to provide those services. Next one, please. The next one, please. There we go. In 2025, the town of Slave Lake experienced a return on investment, or more specifically, a cost avoidance of $6.28 for every dollar that was spent with Peace Library System. And I'm going to take you through how each of those areas and show you how we got to that number. Next one, please. In 2025, excuse me, the town of Slave Lake's population, according to the Alberta Municipal Affairs population estimates from November of 2024, was 6,964. This figure is the one that we use to bill on, as it's the one in the master agreement signed between the municipality and the system board. Based on that population figure, the town of Slave Lake was billed at $7.01 per capita for a total of $48,818. This is the membership fee to the system and is used to provide library services to the Slave Lake Library, such as ordering, cataloging, processing, delivery, interlibrary transfer, as well as consulting services with professional librarians and IT support. So based on that same population figure, the library board, which is funded by the town, is also billed $19,181, or $202.75 per capita, 50 cents of that per capita billing is earmarked for purchasing of e-resources, such as databases, e-books, digital magazines, digital comic books, etc. The rest of it is put into an account for the staff at the library to use when buying resources for the library. So that makes a total of $67,969 for the 2025 year, out of which $15,669 is set aside for library purchases. Next one, please. Modern libraries require a lot of technology to function, and technology and support is expensive. Peace Library System and the consortium that we belong to, TRAC, functions as the IT support system for all member libraries, on call and free to use anytime. In order to manage a library system, be it an out-of-the-box open source one like Evergreen or an all-purpose system like Insignia, it would cost an additional IT support person and an IT developer in order to be able to use them effectively, plus the cost of the software itself. Incidentally, the cost for the Polaris system, which is shared by the four library systems in TRAC, is about $500,000 per year. And that's not including the IT management involved at the system level to keep it running and keep it relevant. I didn't actually include that number in the return on investment calculations because it's not reasonable to expect a small rural library to buy a $500,000 system such as that if they were going alone. But the fact is that as a member of the library system, all your libraries are part of that $500,000 integrated library system with all the benefits that entails at a very small fraction of that cost. Also, as a member of Peace Library System and as a library in Alberta, your library is entitled to use the Alberta SuperNet. The cost for that is covered by the province. It's administered through the system. But the actual cost of SuperNet for the library is about $850 a year. But if libraries had to pay a retail provider for that, the cost would be upwards of $25,000 a year, and they wouldn't be connected to the shared library services and the software that's provided through the system and through the province. Next, please. So resource sharing is the reason we exist. Being a part of Peace Library System means that your library can take part in the benefits of the provincial interlibrary loan system. And it means that your residents have access to the entirety of the holdings of the libraries in Alberta without ever having to leave town. It means that the residents of the Slave Lake have access to so much more than what's just on the shelves here. In fact, in 2025, residents of the town borrowed 3,905 items that came from other libraries across Alberta and even across Canada. If the library had had to buy those items to satisfy the patron requests, it would have cost over $95,000. And you'd need a bigger library to house them all. But the fact is, you wouldn't have another $95,000 to buy those books, and you don't need it because you have access to the interlibrary loan system. So you have access to all the financial benefit of the libraries across Alberta. Peace Library System also manages access to a number of electronic resources and databases. Two of them are Overdrive and Cloud Library, which have ebooks, e-audiobooks, e-magazines, e-comic book collections, etc. In 2025, Slave Lake patrons borrowed 4,644 digital items, which, again, if bought by the library, would have cost over $232,000. But sharing agreements that Peace maintains with our consortia partners and a fifth Alberta library system, Parkland, provides access to over $1 million worth of shared e-content at no additional charge to the library or to the patron. Taking advantage of the economies of scale, Peace has negotiated bulk discounts with the larger book vendors, and on average, that discount comes to about 38% off retail, and 30% are off of retail on books and 30% on non-print items, so like DVDs and CDs and such. And the discount that we get on purchasing in bulk is then passed on to the libraries. As a result of that discount, the Slave Lake Library saved over $10,000 on purchasing last year. As well, Peace purchases a number of resources for member libraries to borrow and use. We put together book blocks of popular items such as westerns, storytime kits, activity kits used in programming. And all these are available to all our member libraries at no cost, simply to be borrowed, used, and returned, and shared among the members. This is a cost savings for libraries so that they can provide a variety of programming topics without having to purchase resources for them, so that they're able to provide those services that the community asks for whenever they have their plan of service negotiations. Whenever the community asks for these things, we buy them at Peace so that all the communities can benefit from them at no extra cost to any of the libraries. Next, please. Peace Library System runs a number of professional development events through the year, specifically for library staff, on how to use the resources we provide, as well as topics relevant to working in libraries. One that we acquired a little recently is working with unhoused populations. We also employ specialists, librarians with master's degrees, in library science for consulting purposes. Library managers have access to their help expertise whenever they need help to know best practices or legislation, or even just to bounce ideas off of. In the fall, PLS provides ready-made marketing materials to our libraries. We provide reading games in the summer, and all of it is customizable with the library's name and logo, social media ready, out of the box, ready to go. All the library systems together have created materials for distribution that libraries can use to talk to political candidates ahead of the provincial budget cycles, in addition to the talking points to be used when talking to political candidates in election years. That cooperation continues now with advocating to the provincial government on behalf of all Alberta libraries, especially in the areas of provincial funding for libraries. And all these benefits are provided to member libraries and included in the membership. Next, please. That is just a rundown of everything that I have just talked about. And the last one. So Peace Library System helps libraries offer way more to their citizens in their towns and in their surrounding counties than they could on their own, just through these economies of scale and the sharing agreements that we have with all of our members in our system, in the TRAC Consortium, across Alberta and across Canada. Residents have access to way more resources and up-to-date sources of information. It connects member libraries with other libraries across the province. We just put out our salary survey, and that was a survey across all libraries in Alberta. So it connects all of those libraries that can talk about common problems and common solutions. And being a member of Peace Library System means that nobody in your library is alone. We're always on call for help. Did I come in under 10 minutes? Awesome.
You did great. Appreciate
I talk
that.
really fast.
I appreciate being aware of the time. Thank you. Generally, it's so things don't turn into 1.5 hours of presentation. So if you were over a couple, I'll give you that because that's a lot of information to pack into that. Appreciate the presentation. I will ask Council if there's any questions before moving into mine. Councillor Achoba.
Thank you for the presentation. Real quick, I noticed that in the presentation, the appropriation of about 48,818 was the municipal funding. But I also noticed on the ROI document that you shared that it says 44,000 and something. So which one is the right number?
It would be the 48, and I have fumble fingers. My apologies.
Okay.
Councillor Williams.
Hi.
Hi.
Great
Nice to meet you in person.
Yes, yes. Thank you for the presentation. My question is regarding charges to the Slave Lake, like to libraries themselves. What additional charges are, what additional costs are being charged to the library that are not included in what we're seeing here as to what you provide now?
There's two areas. One is IT, technology. We have a purchasing program for computers and other technology, which we also use the economy of scale. So we buy in bulk and then we sell back to the libraries at a lower cost than what they can get at retail.
Okay.
But we don't provide technology, we provide support for that technology. So we can purchase computers, monitors, all of that stuff, and then the libraries will pay a lower rate than if they had gone to Staples or Costco or wherever. So that is billed back. There's also, on occasion, the library cards. And the library cards, the supplier that we used to use has gone under. There's only one that's available now in Canada, and their prices are much higher than what they were. And we just, supplying 46 libraries, it's a lot of money. So we're not billing entirety back. We're subsidizing to a point, but any library that needs more than what we can subsidize for, then those are billed back.
Yes.
And again, it's economy of scale, and we're charging them at the rate that we get. However, we have found a way to use digital library cards that are not physical at all. So if we don't have to buy them, then we don't have to charge them, and that would be great.
I see. Okay, yeah, that was my next question, so thank you for addressing it. It was just in regards to our library is one of the libraries that now has to pay for our own cards.
Yep.
So,
The other option we're looking into, so I'm sorry for interrupting, the other option that we're looking into is buying a card producer for ourselves. And then that way we can spit out the blanks. We would be able to absorb that a little bit better than having to buy ready-made blanks in 46 different designs from an external supplier. We've been looking for the machine to do it, but so far it's not been cost-effective enough to do it, but the machines are coming down in value. So I'm hoping within 2 years that the machine will be better cost-effective than going externally,
okay.
in which case that cost will be absorbed again.
And then going back to the technology, actually, I did have a question in regards to, the libraries only started receiving letters regarding technology budget considerations a few years ago. So how were these costs previously covered?
The letter I think that you're referring to is a letter that goes out that says your computers are turning 3 years old or 4 years old or whatever, they're going to have to be replaced. This is a planning letter specifically for libraries to say your computers are about to fall out of warranty and they're about to be not recent enough in order to be able to run the software. So this is a capital planning tool for libraries. Up until 2020, 2021, we were just telling libraries, oh, by the way, your computers are no longer out of date, now you have to buy new ones. Now we're trying to help libraries plan ahead for that.
I think, sorry to interrupt, but I think their question is regarding like the Microsoft licensing,
Oh.
the RMM, the EDM.
Yeah.
Those things.
So
We
the,
do plan for our computer purchases.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, the Microsoft licensing, unfortunately for us, has changed. In 2021, I believe it was, their licensing model changed, and the Sweet Cherry licensing model that we were using before was scrapped, and then they were telling us that we were going to have to pay retail the same as corporate. So we did some heavy negotiating with them, saying we're a nonprofit, we can't afford to pay retail, all of this. And so what they came back with was still higher than we were comfortable with, but lower than what it had, or lower than the original bill that they had sent us. And that was when we had to decide, are we going to raise levy rates to try and cover everything for everybody, or are we going to have the libraries cover just the piece that they needed to cover?
Okay.
And that's,
Yeah, just being a member on the library board, I guess it's, we run into the issue of, like, of course, we understand that the expense of running the library system is increasing, costs are increasing for tons of things. But when it passes down to the library, then the library also has to increase their funding, right? And it's
yes.
tough everywhere.
Yes.
So I just wanted to kind of get a little more information as to what was previously covered and what now is.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we look at how we're going to figure out how to pay for these things, one of the first things we look at is, can we absorb it? And can we absorb it without taking anything vital from anywhere else? And if we can, then that's the first thing we do. If we can't, then we look at it as, would it be better to ask the libraries to cover their portion of this, or would it be better to come back to councils and say, hey, by the way, we need, we need to raise the levy rate in order to cover this little piece? And either way, that money is going to come from councils.
Yeah.
Whether it comes to us through levy, whether it
That's-
comes,
yes,
whether it comes that way, but we're trying to reduce it as much as possible
Okay.
and figure out how everybody can spend the least.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have a couple of quick questions, and part of my ignorance on this, because I don't necessarily understand some of the statistics, is just about items that are sent out and come back in. So during your presentation, you had said the town of Slave Lake Library brought in 3,905 physical items in. And then I know from our presentations from Kendra at the library, it says we lent items to libraries outside our system of 10,529. So when we say outside our system, does that mean outside of just like the Slave Lake, Smith and Flatbush libraries, or is that outside of the Peace Library system in general? I'm just curious if you can, basically what I'm trying to get at is we're bringing in 3,900-ish items. And how many items are we getting in from the Peace Library system versus, well, we're getting that in versus how much we're taking out. So I have 10,529 was on the infographic on our website, but it says outside our system, and I just don't know if outside our system means outside the Peace Library system or just outside our 3 library system. I'm just curious on information.
I believe our annual reports do stipulate the difference between both, but the infographics that you guys get only say the one number.
Okay.
So I would have to look at the
Yeah,
annual report and get back to you.
Totally.
I believe it's,
If I remember your annual reports correctly, that 10,000 and something is outside the Slave Lake Smith Flatbush
System.
system.
3.
And that's to Peace Library system and the rest of TRAC.
Okay.
And I think it's double digits that go outside of TRAC.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I was just trying to clarify versus, what we're, bringing in upon patron request versus what we're purchasing, and then just kind of get a volume of a difference on there. So appreciate that. And I think that's it for me. Is there anything further from council? Okay, I would entertain a motion to accept this information. Councillor Choba.
I'd like to move to accept as information.
All right, motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor. And that is carried. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Okay, we're going to move forward back into business arising from delegations. So as there was a request in our delegation from Catherine, I will now open up the floor to council for discussion and commentary on the request. And a reminder would be a request for the deferral of the property taxes or another related measure. Councillor Gromlich.
Just comment for discussion purposes, the deferral to defer it until the home is built, but we don't have a timeline. It could be 20 years or 20 days, right? So
It would be possible to defer it potentially a year and then revisit it if it's not completed in that timeline. Or I don't know what other recommendation would be if administration has something different regarding that. Alex?
So we did do the numbers for till pretty much the middle of end of next year, based on the monthly payment. But we could do 12 months, we could do 9 months and revisit it. We felt if we went a little bit longer, that would give everybody time to get the construction done, get back in the house, have the ability to get a bit of revenue before the bill became due. So that's
For the
why
12 months?
Yeah, I think it was 14 months.
14 months? Okay, thank you. Anything further? Councillor Williams?
Yeah, forgive me on this. I just had a question in regards, I'm just wondering if it would be an option to really reevaluate the property as land instead of as land with a house, to defer until they, is that an option? Is that anything that we've done before? Because there's no property on there right now. It's not.
Go ahead, Alex.
So there is still a house on the property. It's not a
just-
demolished house. It's just going to be
Okay.
rebuilt.
Thank
My
you.
understanding would be it be rebuilt. I don't think it's going to be a complete loss. Yeah, so, I think we reserve the land for raw land, and in this case,
Okay.
because we do have another property that had a fire on it, and if we go that avenue, that could potentially go down to, well, you've been charging me this much for the last 3 years, and the precedent would be set that it should be, so I think we should leave it as a building. My recommendation
Yep,
would be leave it as a
no,
building.
no, that's fine, I just had, thank you.
Counselor Hudson?
Just if you're paying monthly, you're still paying for this year's taxes that are due on June 30th of 2027, aren't we? So couldn't you just cancel your monthly payment if they're saying that they just want it deferred until when it's due anyways?
It's part of their mortgage, so it would have
Oh,
to
it's the
come from
mortgage,
the
so
town
that's
to
more
the,
with
to
the
the
bank,
bank. So it's all rolled together, so that's why I believe Catherine is
Right.
coming forward to ask for something official, so then the bank can remove that, because the bank is collecting it on behalf of.
And
the
so
town
we
Slave
have
Lake.
to decide that for the bank to change that? They can't just ask the bank?
Correct,
Stop
because it's a
collecting it,
condition of
okay.
their mortgage that they pay the
Okay.
property taxes through there. It's from
Okay.
my
That's
brief
what I
understanding of
wondered. Okay,
mortgages.
That makes sense then, because, yes.
Yeah, so what they're asking is she's asking that this information from council would then be taken to their mortgage.
Yeah.
To whoever holds their mortgage, and then indicate that there is a waiver for the next 12 to 14 months. Councillor Hughes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was the question that I asked, Craig. That's kind of what I was getting at there, too. I think in terms of this specific situation, just kind of looking at this as a case-by-case basis, which I think is really important when someone is asking for deferrals, et cetera. In this situation, I would have no problem with delaying this as requested for 1 year and then revisiting at that point. Obviously, you know, especially in this case, this tax roll is paying monthly. We have not been told of any, you know, arrears or outstanding issues. So in this case, I'm happy to, you know, work with a resident to help them in this time.
Councillor Chova.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes, for that. I took some time to really reflect on this, and I think for me, I would probably favor having administration recommend a more consistent framework around this rather than council deciding hardship requests just case by case. I'm more of a consistent framework so that we're not setting ourselves up too much for a lot of that. So I'll just open it up to you, Alex.
So council is the only one that can, and it has to be on a case-by-case basis. Council is the only one that can defer or eliminate taxes. So we could come up with a framework, but it's always going to be ultimately up to council on a case-by-case basis.
Councillor Bowes.
Just wondering, Alex, from the amounts you'd given us, do we know what amount of that is utilities?
Yes. 1 second. Come back to me.
Yep.
Councillor Gromlich.
Probably asking Alex a question here, so you might need a moment.
We can give him a minute.
It's around $500 that was added today. Yeah.
Do you happen to know if we've done this in the past? Did anyone in administration, do we have a history of a situation of this? It doesn't,
I don't specifically know related to fires if there's been any deferrals or cancellations of taxes. I could look into that, but I'm not sure offhand if it has. We have done in other instances deferrals or canceling of taxes at a request or fees.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure specifically related to fires.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Williams.
Yes, I agree with Councillor Hughes on this one. I believe especially if they're going to be paying the full amount anyways within a year or so, once the house is rebuilt. I think that, again, case by case, you can see a very genuine plea out here to us, and they're from Slave Lake, and we all know how this town is with fires and how awful it is to rebuild and grow. So I definitely respect and admire you coming forward with your story. Yeah, I would definitely agree, though, to work with her and make this happen with a deferral.
Councillor Bowes.
Quick question, and one of us might know this. So if we say we're gonna defer and we have it taken off of their mortgage, how hard is it gonna be in the middle of next year for them to get it put back on? Or is it gonna have to be a couple of years? Because I thought that to do monthly payments with the town, you had to sign up by a certain,
So
Head on.
it'd be the reverse of the letter. If you guys, if a date is put on it to be to this date, the bank would start on that date. So they would follow the letter of the recommendation.
okay, thanks, sorry, just didn't.
My understanding, not 100% sure, but that's our understanding of it.
Okay.
Am I able to ask a question?
Yes, of course. Go ahead, Catherine.
So just a quick question, because I know if we defer, and then am I going to be hit with years, or then now becomes 2 years of taxes, or can it be staggered so that I can breathe? That it's not going to be 2 full years of taxes?
Alex wants to weigh in. Go ahead.
Yeah, the administration would be willing to work with you. We do have a payment plan that we could work with you on, and I would recommend that if council approves any type of deferral, that we speak sooner rather than later to set that up, so that both parties are aware of what those payments may look like as we come closer to the date.
Does that answer your question? Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, to move things along, I am in full support of this. What I do appreciate about this is you're not asking us to cancel property taxes. You're asking for a bit of a break. And that break is just with the deferral. So I tend to be reasonably minded, and you aren't living in the property. It isn't something you are, all of us have mortgages generally in the homes we live in, and so we would continue to have to pay that ongoing. But since it is an investment property and we are definitely short on rentals in this market, I think it's very reasonable to ask for that, and knowing that then you'll have to have a payment plan. You'll be paying more next year over time, but it sounds like there's some ways to go there. So I'll make a motion that council, pursuant to section 347 of the Municipal Government Act, find it equitable to defer the outstanding property taxes owing on roll number 41473.00 in the amount of $3,797.04 until June 30th, 2027, due to the loss of residents on the property by fire. So now there's a motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion from council? As I see nothing, I will call to question those in favor. All those opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Councillor Gramler.
Just for, am I on?
Yep.
I really liked Andrew's suggestion, because I know you say council has to do it, but can I make some sort of motion where you bring back a report that's a cookie cutter, where we have this, like, okay, this is the first example of this, I think, ever, and this is something that we could follow suit with? Because it puts you in a tough spot to do this regularly where there's different situations. Is that something administration could look into for us? Because
Yeah, we'll add it to the management task list, and when our CFO is back, we'll discuss some different options and come back with a report.
yeah, okay. You want
we
me
need
to
a
make
motion for that to
Yeah, I'll
go.
make a motion to have a report pertaining to requests for tax deferrals to the management task list for whatever. You got 6 months or something. 3 months from now.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Okay. Reports to new business, 2026 FCSS External Community Grants. Hi, Darcy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am presenting the FCSS External Community Grant applications for 2026. It's a bit of a different report this time because the Government of Alberta implemented a new sustainability framework for all FCSSs to follow. Yes, something new again. So our old FCSS handbook is garbage. It's no good anymore. We have a new handbook that we now have to follow, and this just kind of outlines what they're looking for. They're really focusing on the prevention piece now. We cannot fund anything if it is not preventative, and they've given certain guidelines that we need to follow. In that, it used to be a lot of gray area. There's still gray area, but it's a little more kind of black and white now. So under this new framework, there has to be a common definition of prevention. There has to be direction of provincial prevention priorities and strategies. There has to be a clear governance structure, which we have here. And there's an outcomes model and performance measures that we use to demonstrate program impact and value. There's 3 categories: primary prevention, secondary prevention, and tertiary prevention. Under these 3 categories, there's 5 prevention priorities, So there's homelessness and housing insecurity, mental health and addictions, employment, family and sexual violence, and aging well in the community. So local FCSS programs can apply these strategies in a way that meets the unique needs of their community. Under these 5, there's 6 prevention strategies that we must now follow. So under these, there's number 1 is to promote and encourage active engagement in the community. Number 2 is to foster a sense of belonging. Number 3 is to promote social inclusion. Number 4 is to develop and maintain healthy relationships. Number 5 is to enhance access to local supports. And number 6 is to develop and strengthen skills that build resilience. So now we have to try and fit everything into these 6. Those 5 kind of fit it all together. It's completely changed our reporting structure as well. So council has approved $10,000 for this fiscal year to be awarded to community organizations in 2026 through the Slave Lake External Community FCSS grant application. To apply for this grant, community organizations must provide programs or services that are in accordance with the provincial accountability framework. The province has provided new eligibility assessment tool to utilize when evaluating FCSS programs in local communities. So that's why you don't have that Excel sheet that I used to do before, because that's out, and now they have a handwritten sheet that we have to fill out. So we're mandated to operate with a governing structure or an FCSS board. We operate under the municipality, so it's council's discretion to approve my recommendations. This year we received 7 applications to be reviewed. I'm very confident we will only have this once this year because all our money will be expended after this. We had Willow Wind Support Society Network, which used to be Northwest Central FASD. So we've funded them before, but they are applying for FASD awareness days. They were asking for $2,500. Rising Above Ministries of Slave Lake is looking for their RASL Day program, and so they asked for $5,000. Lesser Slave Lake Beach Fest Society applied for Beach Fest and asked for $4,000. Lesser Slave Lake Multicultural Association applied for Heritage Days Festival and they asked for $700. Slave Lake Firefighters Society applied for their annual barbecue and Christmas gathering at $6,250. Lesser Slave Lake Regional Arts Council applied for Art in the Park at $2,500, and Lesser Slave Lake Métis District applied for their annual Christmas party for $10,000. So total applications that came in was $30,950, and the total eligible out of the new accountability framework, it was $12,200. I put a supporting document in this time instead of putting it all in the council report, so it's all there for you. I recommend that we fund Willow Wind Support Network for FASD Day Awareness for $1,500. Rising Above Ministries for their RASL Day program for $4,300. Slave Lake Beach Fest Society for Beach Fest for $3,500, and Slave Lake Multicultural Association for Heritage Days for $700, for a total of the $10,000 that we have budgeted. I know Beach Fest and Multicultural already happened last weekend, but they're willing to accept the money afterwards, and we'll get a report back quicker from them as well. It just didn't line up with council dates. All applicants will be advised of the results of their funding application through follow-up email. And my recommendation is to fund those 4 for a total of $10,000.
Awesome. I'll move that over to council for any questions. Councillor Hughes.
Thank you, Darcy. So given that the framework has changed here, are you going to notify everyone else who's applied that the framework has changed and kind of just give them a little bit of an overview on why?
Yeah, and they'll get a letter.
Okay,
like a form.
that's probably standard, I suppose.
Yeah, and I've already talked to them all on the phone.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Choba.
Thank you. I think some of the recipients here are recipients that I know and I've worked with in the past, so I know some of the work that they do. But what outcomes reporting are we requiring from like successful recipients? Is there any?
They get a detailed final report that has to be into me by December 31st. And then that report I take and compile into my provincial report. And so it's like I think it's 8 pages, and they have to let me know how many people attended, how many volunteers attended, and then the outcomes that they outlined in their application, they show how they met those outcomes. The application that they fill out and the report, final report that they fill out, lines up directly with all this that the government sends me. I just kind of take it and pile it all together.
All right. Counselor Choba.
I'd like to move that council approves $10,000 in external community grants FCSS funds as follows. Willow Wind Support Network, $1,500. Rising Above Ministries Slave Lake, $4,300. Lesser Slave Lake Beach Fest Society, $3,500. Lesser Slave Lake Multicultural Association, $700.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question. Those in favor? And that is carried.
Thank you.
And with that, sorry, directors, can we have a 5-10 minute break, please? Thank you. Thanks, Darcy.
Good evening, Your Worship and members of council. Okay. Good evening, Your Worship, members of council. The purpose of this report is to request additional funding from town council for pool resurfacing project. The pool basin has not undergone full resurfacing for more than 15 years. Annual repairs and patching are no longer holding up due to material age and surface degradation. Sections of previously applied coating and joints have deteriorated and delaminated, compromising the surface integrity. Such deficiencies increases the risk of leakage and constantly require maintenance and unplanned shutdowns. Considering the current condition of the infrastructure asset, capital project was proposed to council during 2026 budget discussions for resurfacing the pool basin. The project was approved based on total estimated cost of $250,000 to be shared equally by the town and Northern Lakes College. Northern Lakes College advertised the opportunity in Alberta Purchasing Connection early June, and upon closing, 3 submissions were received. Town and college staff jointly evaluated the 3 submissions. During evaluation, it was confirmed that 2 out of 3 proponents proposed installing membrane or liner product as an alternative to epoxy line product. The bid summary is provided in the table below. SIVA Group provided epoxy system at a cost of $353,270, while a membrane system at $350,270. Jack Incorporated from Edmonton, they provided bid for epoxy system at $402,068, while membrane system at $471,149. Levern Construction out of Peace River, they just ended up submitting bid for epoxy system at $747,795. The best valued submission, also the lowest price submission, was provided by SIVA Group for a cost of $350,270 before taxes. The proposal is to complete the work using PVC membrane or liner system. SIVA Group has also proposed a price of $353,000 before taxes for completing the epoxy work as an alternative. In conversation with the Northern Lakes College, the scope was expanded to include repairs to hot tub, water slide, and change room areas. The added scope increased the estimated project cost from $250,000 to $350,000. The proposed project cost, $350,000, will include lining the pool basin using PVC liner and repairing other areas through combination of epoxy coating and tile work. Completing the work as a big project provides better unit rates along with savings with respect to future mobilization cost, and will result in addressing all the deficiencies at once, reducing future shutdowns. The manufacturer completed its review of the facility mid-July in person and confirmed that the proposed membrane or liner application is suitable for a project. Reference checks for both the product and the contractor were satisfactory. The product includes a 12-year manufacturer's warranty, and the contractor will provide 2-year workmanship warranty. Some of the added benefit of the liner system over typical epoxy system includes liner provides superior waterproofing, it has longer service life, it has a lower maintenance cost, it doesn't require a lot of shutdowns. It also helps bridging cracks better than epoxy system. Its chemical resistance, giving better resistance to pool chemicals. It's UV and stain resistance as well, which will reduce the fading and staining or discoloration. It also reduces renovation time, as the membrane can be applied directly over the existing surface. You don't have to take the existing surface down, and it saves time for demolition work. It also will provide consistent appearance throughout the pool basin, and it's a long-term cost-effective solution. The project will require a facility shutdown from September 25th to November 20th this year to complete all the proposed scope of work. The same shutdown window will be utilized to complete the installation of the new diving board, which was recently delivered. Council, like the option in front of council, is to approve the additional funding as per this report. The total project cost would increase by $100,000 from $250,000 to $350,000. With the cost shared equally, towns and Northern Lakes contribution would increase from $125,000 to $175,000 each before taxes. The finance department has confirmed that additional requested funds could be covered through arena reserves. With respect to planned shutdowns, communication will be sent out through social media platforms, warrant alerts, and notices will be posted at the facility in advance. The proposed project supports the town's goal of improving recreational infrastructure asset while enhancing overall recreational program service delivery to community users. Our recommendation to council is to approve the additional funding request by amending the capital budget and authorizing administration to finalize the construction contract with SIVA Group for completing the proposed project scope. Thank
Okay.
you.
Counselor Hughes?
Thank you, Kush. That was a lot of information. Just trying to follow, I guess, the difference. So my first question would be, it sounds like we were going for an epoxy system first, but now you're saying the membrane and liner system, right?
Yes.
Okay, so is that one superior to the epoxy system then?
Yes.
It sounds like it is?
Yes, it is.
And it's less money?
It
So
is
yay
less
us.
money. Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Alex.
I was just going to say for members of council, this product was demonstrated at the FCM conference? Oh, it's a different one? Oh, we did talk, I thought it was, but it was a similar product of the one
Okay.
that was at FCM, so.
I just didn't want to, I want to make sure that we're not just bowing, it's basically a $3,000 difference, right? So I'm just saying, are we getting the better product at the end of the day?
Yeah, because epoxy system, it only comes with like typical workmanship warranty.
Okay.
And usually their coverage is 2 years versus this product, it comes with a manufacturer's backed warranty for 12 years.
Right.
And plus workmanship warranty from the contractor itself for 2 years.
Awesome. So that was my next question. 12-year warranty on this sounds excellent.
Right.
I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. What about the extra repairs that you mentioned here? Can you get into specifics regarding the hot tub, the slide? Like, what exactly is going to be done? Because this is a long shutdown. So I think I'd like to understand visually what residents are going to see and experience for this money
Right.
spent.
So for those added scope, I'll get Darcy to just explain a little bit more.
Thank you.
That's why it's made.
Perfect.
So the entire pool basin will be redone.
Okay.
The hot tub will be stripped right down, completely down to the cement and repair the hollowing out cement inside, and it'll become a fully tile hot tub.
Okay.
The water slide, which usually Northern Lakes College does every year, but they don't have the guys anymore to do it, so that's why it was included. They'll strip it down, the surface that you slide on, and it'll all be redone.
Okay.
And the change room floors have been painted over for years, so they will be all pulled up and redone completely.
With proper drainage?
With these guys, yeah. It's still
Okay.
same drainage, like, because it has to slope those certain ways, but it won't be so thick, because it's paint on top of paint on top of paint.
Okay.
So they're gonna use this same company's gonna use a different product.
Yeah.
And they're going to just completely redo them, so they're not lifting and cracking.
Okay, so the changes to the change room is the floor itself, is the changes in the
Yeah.
change room?
Yeah.
Okay, and is there warranty on any of those other extra add-ons besides the pool basin?
So that will be usual 2 years.
2-year warranty on all of that work? Okay, and this amount of time for shutdown, is that
It's
a
a-
standard amount of time based on?
They're 6 weeks, so I gave us a week before to drain the pool, and a week after, because we have to get Alberta Health Services approval,
Okay.
and get our water samples back.
Okay,
Now,
So they're saying 6 weeks. So the reason why it's cheaper is because this is a company out of Ontario, and this will be their first project in Alberta. They've done thousands of pools all over the world, but they're trying to get into Alberta, and so their cost is more effective for us this time, because this will be like a, hey, we did Slave Lake, come check it out.
I'm going to jump in on the shutdown question because I understand there's a little bit longer over. Our annual shutdown's 4 weeks and ish,
It was
right?
6 weeks last year.
6 weeks, sure, but like it's supposed we try to aim for a month-ish, is that correct? And I might be imagining this, but is it correct that the membrane liner system then over the epoxy would result in potentially a shorter annual shutdown?
Absolutely. 2 weeks, it'll be next year.
oh, that's
So we
great.
take a longer shutdown this time
Time to install.
to have a shorter annual one. That would be something, I think.
And it'll likely be, we do have to drain every second year anyways because of our pumps and everything else, but it'll still be quicker turnaround on those two. It'll go to 3 weeks instead of 5.
Thank you.
That's good to know. Sorry, I just had
No,
one more.
I
The
was going
hot
back
tub
to
that you mentioned going down to the cement, sometimes there's other issues with the hot tub, no? Will that be like fully resolved with these changes?
The hot tub drains itself, and it has since 1991.
Okay.
So I don't imagine that will be fixed, because we don't know where it's draining to. It's been that way forever and ever. It's the way that the ground is shifting. But chemical-wise and everything else-wise, the hot tub is good. It's right now our biggest problem there. So all that area, when you sit in the hot tub and it's like gritty on your bathing suit,
Yeah.
that's gonna be gone. That's gonna
Okay.
be all back to tile the way it originally was.
Okay.
So
Okay,
that
so
will help with seepage and
Residents
drainage.
visually are going to see the hot tub
Absolutely.
fully refurnished, the change room floors done, they're gonna see the slide redone, and a whole new basin in the pool.
Yep.
For 6 months of work. I just wanna wrap my head around.
6 weeks.
6 weeks, sorry, pardon me, 6 weeks. Never mind 6 months, oh my goodness. We would have
6
a
weeks.
revolt on our hands.
That'd be like 2011
Okay.
all over again. No thanks.
So this will affect some revenue from the town, certainly, because we won't be having any swimming lessons or those types of things. I mean, like you said, we do have our normal shutdown, but we're definitely gonna be missing.
So we normally
Couple
shut
extra
down
weeks.
September 1st.
Yeah.
So because we're shutting down September 25th, we are going to run a swimming lesson set before that. So we
Oh,
will
okay.
have a set in September, which we haven't done in 35 years.
Okay.
So we do have plans for that. We're also, during that month that we're open, that we're not usually open, we're going to try a new lane and leisure swim. So we're going to be open from 11 to 3 every day with like an open swim with 2 lanes in and then like a preschool plunge public type on the other side and see how that works out and trial it.
Okay.
See if it's something worth doing when we don't have school.
I'm glad that you're gonna add some in
Yeah.
right before the changes. That makes me feel a little easier about that. But anyways, I'll let others talk. Thank you.
Councillor Choba?
Thank you. 2 questions. First one is that I'm assuming because NLC is going to pay half of this, they are aware and they've approved theirs? Okay.
Yes, they have.
Perfect. And the second question is that, what is the contingency for like unforeseen work, change orders and all that? Just because the amount we're quoting here is $350,000, and I don't see, when I look at the numbers here, like the bid summaries and all that, I don't see anything built in for contingency. So are we going to, in a couple of weeks, maybe there's some changes, get hit with another ask, basically?
Likely not, because one of the unsurety we had was applying the membrane on top of the existing surface. So for that, we just requested contractor to bring in a manufacturer and do an in-depth kind of like, physical kind of like visit, and they did, and they verified. So pretty much we are, we were able to like reduce that uncertainty, and we have a letter from manufacturer that yes, this can be applied on the existing surface, it should seal properly, and as long as techniques are followed, they are good to go, giving us 12 years warranty on the product itself. So from that perspective, I think we are good. Overall, I think it all comes down to the workmanship, but we are confident because as the contractor has done lots of projects before in the past, so we are hoping it should be a straightforward thing for them.
Okay, and then I just have one question. For the $100,000 project increase, like what was the main driver of that, of the repairs that, this scope expansion? Because there's the,
The hot tub,
yeah, which is the most, like, are they all about even, or is there a?
Cannot recall like the actual breakdown,
Yeah.
but these guys provided the best pricing out of all.
Sure.
And I think the slide was around 17,000.
So was it like pretty even between the 100-ish?
Yes,
I
yes.
wasn't sure if it was like the hot tub was
Yeah,
like
hot tub was around
70.
40,
40.
40,
Okay.
40, 45 kind of.
Okay, so the hot tub would have taken most of the costs
Yes.
then. I was just curious what portion of that roughly was to each.
And they did quote the hot tub locally, and it was over 50,000.
Okay.
To do it locally.
Yeah.
So normally the Northern Lakes College has always done the hot tub, the water slide, and the floors.
Okay.
They decided to throw it in with their RFP to see what they get back this year because they don't have the manpower, so they would do it, but then bill us for it.
Okay.
So it's kind of 51 half dozen.
Councillor Baus?
I'm just wondering, it's got the 12-year warranty, but when's the last time that we would have redone the basin?
Like based on the previous managers and stuff, I think everyone is saying it's not done since last 15 years.
Would have been 2011, 2012, because the support beams had to be redone then, and the pool was drained for over a year. And so they would have had to redo that basin because it would have cracked from all the shifting.
Okay.
Would have been 11 or 12. We've had to redo it 2 or 3 times a year consecutively.
I was just gonna say, yeah, you're gonna have to do it every year, but I'm just wondering the last time they did the whole thing, but just even based on that, this is going to be, yeah.
Counselor Hughes.
I will make a motion when I get to it. I move that council accepts administration's recommendation to amend the capital budget for Pool Basin resurfacing project by increasing the town's portion by an additional $50,000, revising the 50% cost share from $125,000 to $175,000, with additional funding supported through arena reserves.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question. Those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Get to my agenda. Command vehicle replacement.
Good
Mike.
evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here for a request for decision. Our command vehicles are on a 7-year replacement cycle. We have one vehicle coming up next year. We're in the process of replacing one currently for this year's budget. When we went to Ford, who won the award, at the time we couldn't order a 2026 vehicle model, so we had to order a 2027 vehicle model, and then through a computer glitch, both trucks were ordered. We're not obligated to purchase both by any means, but the opportunity's there. The one truck should be here within the next couple weeks. The second one will be probably mid to late October. So we'd like to jump on the fact that we're replacing one next year anyways. If we could get it now and get it through the process sooner, it's going to take another 18 to 20 weeks to get a box made for this truck as well. So it just will speed up the process. And then the truck that we ordered is ordered for our needs operationally as well. So
Councillor Gramlich.
I don't think things get any cheaper, so this makes sense to me. So I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of an additional command vehicle to replace Unit 102, and that funding for the unit to come from the Fire Smart Reserve.
Okay, motion on the floor. Any further discussion? That would be any further discussion? Councillor Hughes.
Just refresh my memory on this. Can we sell the old ones then? Are we getting something back for both of these two old units?
we're planning on disposing of one. We would like to keep the one of the two vehicles. In 2020, we downsized, or the fleet was downsized by one vehicle. Since 2020, our call responses have increased by over 200 calls a year. So we are much busier.
Okay.
And we're always scrambling for a resource to keep us operational. Search and rescue also falls under us as well. They are being tasked more than they've ever been tasked, especially in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So just to keep us operational, we would like to keep one of them, and it wouldn't be a frontline response unit, but it would also be like just a backup unit.
Okay, so will this one we're keeping gonna be added into this 7-year rotation though, eventually? Will we be replacing another one at some point, right, or no?
If I may, yes. So,
Yeah, go
so
ahead.
as Chief Bissell mentioned, we did downsize the fleet after looking at the numbers and things a few years ago.
Yeah.
So this is adding that one back. They're still on the 7-year replacement. So the next ones would be as they come due. We went
Okay.
from 5 to 7.
Yeah.
So that took place a couple years ago. We went from a 5-year replacement to a 7-year replacement. So we are extending the life. And they continuously look every year at, can we get rid of 2 and get 1? Do we need? So the 2 big things here are search and rescue. They are being tasked more often as a cost recovery, so all the costs are covered under that. The WUI team, the WUI deployments, the team has their own truck, but extra deployments are always taking place aside from rainy years. So it makes sense to add that truck back in that we did remove from a few years ago, just on how much busier the fire department is getting. It also
Totally.
makes sense, as Councillor Grammage mentioned,
Yeah.
we're not going to get one cheaper next year when it does come due for replacement.
For sure.
So the
I
opportunity
don't
is there.
dispute the need for it by any means. I'm just simply asking if we're gonna be adding that into that capital rotation then, so that we're planning for this,
Yeah, all
right?
of our
if we
vehicles
need
add
this
the
back.
capital, get into the capital. And
Yeah.
as for the other one that is getting sold, it'll go through we do have the process for getting rid of vehicles.
Yeah.
So we'd go through that process.
Yeah, it's just nice to know that we get something out of it, I guess, when we're looking at another spend, right? So.
Yeah, and we're also like assessing the needs, like if the one truck has less miles and hours, we're gonna keep it longer, obviously, or if we're having, a bunch of problems with that one, we're gonna get rid of that one. So we're not just saying every 7 years. We've already extended a few past the 7 years, so just operationally, we're struggling right now.
Counselor Baus?
Okay, I think most of my questions were answered, because I was gonna say, okay, if we're redoing them every 7 years, now instead of 1 truck this year, 1 truck next year, 7 years, now we've got 2 trucks, but you guys have already said you're looking at them, and one of the other questions I had was that why we would need more siren package equipment, but if we're gonna keep one, we can't transfer that over. But, so I guess then the one that we're gonna be selling, we'll be able to take that equipment out?
We can, so we take it and save it. We also, we keep it to repair or replace what's on our trucks operationally as well, so it doesn't get disposed of, it's kept. If we have lights fail on our current fleet, we have a light to put on it. So we're not always having to, it's also 6 to 8 weeks sometimes to get some of these lights. Obviously, there's changes to body styles and that, so some of the, like the light bar might not be able to be reused, but it might be able to be saved for one of the older units. So, yeah, we keep what we can, reuse the radios that we can and stuff like that as well, so.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion on the floor. Are there any further questions from council? Okay, call to question, those in favor? And that is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
If you guys make it that easy for the fire chief, he's gonna come back lots.
That's why we make him wait till the very end.
Okay, CAO update.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We'll start with the CO update with planning and development. So they're starting to see a bit of an increase in permits coming in. So they worked on 9 development permits, which were 2 detached dwellings, 1 bunkhouse, and 6 other permits throughout the community, as well as 5 special events permits and 1 food truck permit. Reminder, July and August is pretty busy for special events. For human resources, we do have currently 4 postings out there. We did appoint a new director of community services. It was an internal hire, so that position is now posted. We're working on our first aid requirements for the year and the monthly and being kept up to date. Our annual safety stand-down day is being planned for September 10th. So what that means for the community is we do shut down for the day for staff training. We communicate that out through all our avenues to let everybody know. We do keep the front desk open with a minimal staff just to make sure that people can be still serviced, but for the most part, the staff will all be involved in our safety stand-down day. Projects, some of these you may have been updated on recently with the presentations, but materials have been ordered at the Multi-Rec Center for the upgrades for the women's washroom, the toilet installs, the men's washroom, as well as the multi-purpose room upstairs. The material for the new diving board has been delivered and will be installed when the pool shuts down. The microsurfacing, so that is the portion from Main Street to 7-Eleven. They will be in town around the 24th and starting to work with completion by the weekend or shortly after. There has been rain delays everywhere, which we're experiencing, and the construction on Caribou Trail on Main Street from Cal Tire to Highway 88 will be about the week after, so around the 31st. Again, they're trying to wrap up projects with rain delays in other areas. So we did reach out to them yesterday and today and got some confirmed dates now. We'll start to see that construction. And Main Street by the Rex Theater there was a water main break. You may have seen some work there. They put the cement in today to start that repair. And there's also 3 new lighted crosswalk systems in town. One on Main Street by Citizens Park, one by the Southeast Park, and I'm drawing a complete blank on where the 3rd one is, but I know it's out there. Right over here. Yes, thank you. And since we put those up, we've had 3 requests for more of them in town. So we'll evaluate those as they come in and see where we'll try to really focus on the busier intersections or busier places, but they do have a big vision or visibility in town.
Ask now. For the new, the sign that's over by the park, by the hospital park over there.
The speed sign, yep.
The one heading towards the park, it's quite a bit ahead of the actual playground zone marker in there. So is where the light is that where the playground zone starts?
No, it would be where it's marked as the 30 zone.
Because it is quite a bit, okay. So just to signify, hey, watch out, start slowing down now?
Yeah, we'll look into the placement and make sure that it lines up.
Okay, thank you.
So finance, So the finance department undertook a big insurance update, and after that was all done, there was 7 buildings that we were notably uninsured and one that didn't have any. It was a small building with a generator. That has all been addressed and corrected. All of our assets are appropriately captured and insured in accordance with current replacement values. As a result, we're in a significantly stronger financial position with improved insured-to-value alignment, reduced exposure to uninsured or underinsured losses, and greater capacity to claim outcomes. 10 of the 10 loss control recommendations were actioned on. This means the town of Slave Lake demonstrates a strong and proactive approach to risk management and full completion of all recommendations and clear supporting actions. So a key takeaway, the assessment focused on core life safety and fire protection controls, with full implementation resulting in strengthened compliance. And there's a couple of suggestions that we will work on through administration to complete that. The second quarter GST was filed, and the second quarter RCMP was in under budget, which is good news.
Councillor Bowes?
If we found that there was a building uninsured, is administration looking at putting in some kind of every year when the renewal for insurance comes, that things are maybe looked at to check off, we have these assets and we are sure?
Yeah, so the process, the loosened process before was it was be installed and everything was just, it was done. Now there's the project manager, so this was built before the project manager was in place. The project manager, anytime new infrastructure is built, one of his checklists is insurance. At the pre-build stage, the built stage and the final build stage.
Okay.
So it was a small generator shack over by the airport that was just missed when it was put in. And then the other ones that were less insured, it was just, they were, as the costs went up with the insurance didn't, so now that's all been matched to what it is. So it was a miss in the checklist, and that's been taken care of.
Okay, but I'm just thinking every year when you do a renewal and you get your, okay, here's all the assets, is there anything going to be maybe every year, a couple of years that somebody actually goes
Yeah, we
through
do.
to-
So the insurance lists are sent out to all directors,
Okay.
and because it wasn't on the list, nobody caught it. So when we did the review of all the buildings, as they went, well, we own this building, but why is it not on there? So a lot of the other things, we take them off because they stay on longer. This one wasn't on there, so that's why it got missed of being added.
Okay.
So but it is, the directors review them every year.
I have a quick question. So it says, good news that our RCMP invoice for the second quarter came in below expected. But in my brain, so the estimates that we get, I want to know, is this an us problem in the estimates, or is it a them problem? Because I'm looking forward already to budget for next year.
Yep.
And 100,000 out on a quarter, that's a % in taxes, which is great.
Yep.
Except that you know how I feel about horse trading pockets of money around to different areas. Yep. So my question is are we making the estimates? I understand they're coming from the RCMP. Who do we discuss with on improving the estimate ability for the next year? I understand there is some leeway, but in talking with the RCMP administration, I'm just curious if this is something that we can ask them to better forecast costing on, because it makes, if we have the ability to be out $100,000 either way a quarter, I personally have an issue with that. So I'll make a motion to have administration, I don't necessarily need a report back, but inquire on where this costing comes from. Any further discussion? Call the question, those in favor. Councilor Hudson? Yes, no? Oh, all right, and that is carried. Continue on, Alex.
Thank you. So for community services under facilities and parks, rink number 1, the one that has the ice surface all year, was shut down for a week to install the new ice logos. With the new junior team coming in, they've been selling a lot of advertising on the town's behalf. So five new logos were added, and then they were ready for Friday night for the main camp for the hockey team. On baseball, the U11 and U13 hosted final provincial tournaments on July 17th and 19th. Congratulations goes to the U13s for winning gold and the U11s for winning silver. And the slow pitch and minor baseball also is wrapped up for the season. There is some hockey camps taking place at the MRC going through July and into starting in August, or finishing off in August. As mentioned, the pool shut down from September 25th to November 20th. The pool basin, hot tub change rooms, and water slide will be worked on, and the new diving board will also be installed at this time. For Protective Services, the fire department, the new Squad 161 had its push-in ceremony on July 6th with council, mayor, and members of the public attending to see the new truck. Our WUI officer was deployed to Fort Simpson, Northwest Territories for 11 days in July. Current call volume as of July 30th was 408, so we're down slightly, about 5 calls from last year, so on par from about last year. July was a busy month with 69 calls, up 15 from last year. There's 116 total members. I would like to note that this month, the month of August, we're having retirements of a couple of long-term members. One firefighter and one search and rescue member have retired from the service. So those will be, at our annual awards, those will be identified as a thank you. In operations for the operations department, for Public Works, there's ongoing alley maintenance, working on vegetation as much as possible on our property. Line painting's taking place. It's not completed yet. The line painting will be completed after the new overlay is done. And the dust control in the industrial park and gravel roads was completed by August 5th. The sewer line repaired in front of the Potpourri Mall, and the utilities guys helped out with the MRC fiber drilling over there. That's all I have for the update today.
Okay, anything further from council? Councillor Hughes?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to find it. Under the ongoing projects, I just wondered if you might have a little bit of a time frame on the Main Street 6th Ave in Northwest intersection upgrade, just because school return is looming, and I am looking at that and thinking, oh, this needs to get done quickly.
Yes, my apologies. I did have an update on that. By the end of this week, we should have an overhead visual. They're going to go out and mark the crosswalks and what the new boulevards will look like with spray paint. We're going to get the drone up to take some pictures to present to council so the council can see. And I believe it's the 17th. I will email it out, but I believe it's the 17th where they're going to potentially start the construction on that intersection.
Okay, so at this
The
moment.
goal is to be done by the end of the month before school starts.
Okay, we think it'll be done as long as
That is what I was told in my last update. I apologize for not following up on that. It was on my list and I missed it. So I will email it out to you guys.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Achoba?
I'd like to move to accept the CAO's update as information.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Up next is the management task list, I believe. I'll get to the top of my agenda.
So the one item that was on there previous to today was the VIC, and that has all been dealt with. We are just awaiting the payment, and the two that were a motion to add on today.
Yeah, the two motions. Okay. Councillor Choba?
I move to accept the management task list as presented.
Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Moving on to question period. Anything for administration that wasn't dealt with on the update? Okay, as I see none, I believe we have one report from MPC. Is Tri-Council's meeting after, or do you have one for?
Not one for health.
Okay, perfect, so just MPC.
Okay, MPC, we approved a crew house on Caribou Trail and 3rd Street. Yeah.
Oh, Caribou Trail and 3rd Street.
Yeah, like right across from the old,
I thought two separate.
right across from the old fire department.
Okay.
A crew house. That is the Councillor Hughes.
Motion to accept the committee minutes as presented.
Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Does council have anything for State of the Lake? Quiet first meeting back. Okay. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment then, please. Councillor Choba.
Motion to adjourn.
Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried.